Welcome back and welcome to Module 2. We're going to really spend this time together aggressively dealing with any limiting beliefs. So you've done incredible work establishing a powerful, successful mindset in the first module. Now it is time to take that crucial step and address these limiting beliefs that may be holding you back. Think of these beliefs as anchors that could be dragging you down. They sap your motivation and resolve, keeping you from reaching your ultimate potential. You know, we all have moments when we make excuses for our lack of success. And it's how we have defined success. Remember, we're going from where we are to where we want to be. Now, these excuses can be oddly comforting, providing a shield to justify to ourselves and to others why we're not doing better. But to achieve extraordinary success, it's essential to recognize and eliminate any self-imposed barriers. So I want you to think about in this first module, we're going to look at 6 specific excuses. I really want you to analyze, are any of these excuses something you're using to hold yourself back from the success you deserve? So let's dive in to the top 6 excuses that typically come up when we're making that journey to success. The first one, I don't know how. Now, this is a common excuse, and it gives you permission to not even try, right? I don't know how to do that. But let's be honest, it doesn't hold any water today. With all the information at our fingertips that we have in today's society, Google, YouTube, online courses, all of this information is at our fingertips. It's up to you to expand your knowledge. Don't use the excuse, I don't know how, because the information is out there and most of it is free, at least to get started on your journey of where you want to go. That unprecedented access to information should be the catalyst that will help you go out and figure it out. Never before have we had such immediate access to this knowledge. Whether you want to start a business, learn a new skill, or tackle a complex project, countless resources are available at your fingertips. The next thing I would tell you is there's mentorship and learning in every corner of the world. One of the most effective ways you can use to figure out how to do something is to find somebody who's qualified in that area. Find a qualified mentor. Alternatively, dive in and learn through experience. Trial and error is a powerful teacher. You just can't go at things thinking you're going to succeed the first time you do every single thing. We covered that before in our first module. So here's some things that you should do to take action on this specific excuse. I want you to go find some books, some online courses, some webinars, workshops related to the goal that you've set for yourself. Use YouTube, use Google, use Udemy, UDEMY, use LinkedIn. There are so many different free course opportunities out there that it should not be holding you back because you don't know how. Connect with experts. Start to look for experts. Maybe you like to do things and interact with people in person. So maybe there are some groups in your town, in your city, in your county that you can start to grow, get associated with. Small Business Administration, the local Chamber of Commerce. Look online for Facebook groups in your specific market that could help you with mentorship and learning. One of the most effective ways is how to figure out something to do is to find that qualified mentor and dive in and learn, okay? Use LinkedIn potentially as that resource to find those right people. You know, consider Sarah Blakely, the founder of Spanx. She didn't know how to start a business when she first started or create a product, but she learned along the way, made mistakes, and kept learning, and now is a billionaire entrepreneur. So don't use I don't know how as an excuse going forward. Now the next one, I'm afraid. Now this one tackles us all, and we'll continue to face it as we continue to progress and try to stretch ourselves. Fear is perhaps the most socially acceptable excuse. Who hasn't been afraid? But let's unpack this for a minute. How do we face fear head on? First, we have to understand that fear is natural. It's okay to feel fear. It's a human emotion. It's that thing that's trying to protect you. But letting it control your decisions can hinder your growth. Fear often lacks any real consequences. 90 times out of 100, the things that we fear are made up in our mind and they never actually come to fruition. In our modern society, most fears are psychological rather than physical threats. Recognizing this can diminish that power over you. Understanding that most fear is all in your mind. Fear, one acronym I really like is FEAR stands for false evidence appearing real. False evidence appearing real. Analyze it. Really take a look at what that fear is. You've got to acknowledge that you have the fear. And this is some steps that you could potentially take to overcome it. First, you got to own it, right? I'm afraid of something. Okay, now that we've acknowledged it, now that we've identified it, write down what you're afraid of and why you're afraid of that. Sometimes just seeing it on paper can make all the difference in the world. And then I want you to take some small steps forward. Break down this goal into smaller, manageable tasks to gradually build your confidence. Understanding again, you're facing your fear and you're doing things that you've not done before. So you're not going to be 100% successful every single time, but if you keep at it, you will become successful. Everything you've ever wanted is on the other side of fear. I love that quote by George Adair. All right, number 3, I don't have enough time. We hear this one all the time. Time is the great equalizer. We all have 24 hours in a day. Claiming you don't have enough time is often a matter of your prioritization, your setting those priorities in your life. You know, if you don't set the priorities, life will set it for you. So we have to figure out, how do we maximize our time? Now, a couple of things that you can do is to audit your day. Track how you're spending your time for a week. Write it down every 15 minutes or so. What did you do in the last 15 minutes? What did you do in the last 15 minutes? You'll likely find pockets where you've wasted time on low value activities, like maybe watching too much television or social media. Are those things that you're doing getting you closer to the goals that you're trying to accomplish? Now, don't get me wrong. It's important for us to relax. It's important for us to unplug. It's important. So I'm not telling you that watching TV is a bad thing or social media scrolling is a bad thing. What you can't do is use it as an excuse and then look at yourself in the mirror and say, I failed because I don't have enough time. Well, you do. You just have to sometimes give up something now to gain it in the future. We have to learn to prioritize our goals more effectively. Allocate the time to activities that align with your objectives and values. One of the things I've really started doing that has helped me a lot is called time blocking. Scheduling dedicated time for my important tasks and keeping those appointments with myself. Now, I tend to set blocks of times in 2 to 3 hours, not 1 hour or 30 minutes and things like that, because I can be more productive when I block off those times of creativity and I focus on getting specific things. Some blocks of time are strictly related to getting tasks done. Other blocks of times are for creative stuff, writing, reading, thinking, developing different thought processes and things I'm going to do in a video or training courses and things like that. You have to block out those areas of time to make yourself most productive. And identify any time wasters that may be, coming up as part of this process that don't contribute to your success. Successful people don't have more time. They make better use of the time that they have. All right. Let's look at the 4th excuse. I don't have enough money. Well, we've all been there, right? Every one of us have at some point said, we don't have enough money. And this is really also a mindset, but somebody is going to write me at some point and tell me that I've lost my mind because it is a real fact that you don't have enough money to get started. Cool. I get it. I get it. Been there. While some endeavors require financial resources, a lack of funds does not have to be a roadblock. And here's where I go with this. So let's say I wanted to start a new business, but I don't know how. I know what kind of business I want to start, but again, I don't know how. First of all, I don't need money to start looking for resources to learn what steps I'm going to need to take in order to start that business. Now, I can use the excuse, I don't have time, I don't have the money, but if I continue to use those excuses, I will never have the time or the money. Continuing to do the same things, expecting different results is the definition of insanity. So we need to get resourceful. Find creative solutions that will help you reach your goal. There are often alternative ways to achieve your goals without significant upfront costs. Again, training, learning, doing one thing. I love Gary Vee and how a number of different suggestions that he talks about where they didn't have any money, they had a little more time, and so what they actually did was they started to look on like Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace and things like that, and they would go pick up items that people were throwing out or giving away for free that had some value. They would take those items, clean them up, repost them, and sell them for $10, $20, $50, $100. That $100 then they use to invest in their business. You have to get creative. What do you really want to accomplish, and how dedicated are you to getting there? Okay. So we need to leverage free and low-cost resources. The internet is filled with free tutorials, courses, and tools. So I want you to start small, begin with what you have and scale up, right? You're not going to go from zero to $100 million or zero to $1 million overnight. This is going to take work. Now, if that bothers you, if that word makes you afraid, we're done. You don't really need to continue anymore in this course because I'm going to force you and push you that it's going to take effort and work, and it is not always going to be comfortable. Okay? Seek support. Consider partnerships, crowdfunding, scholarships to gain financial assistance. There's a lot of money out there that's available to you, Small Business Administration. But again, start small. Start with what you know now and continue to build. Remember Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak, when they started Apple, they started it in their garage with very minimal funds. One of the most successful companies in the world today. Cool, there's a big gap between where they started and where they are today, but they started. And you never would have Apple if they had not started and continued to learn and grow along the way. It's a journey. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. Many successful businesses began with crowdfunding campaigns, so that's one other consideration. All right, so now let's look at number 5. It's too late for me. All right, well, I'm talking to folks that are older and maybe my age or more. I'm in my late 50s, and hey, I've changed careers a number of different times. Age is just a number. It's never too late to pursue your dreams and your goals. Never. We really have to embrace that growth is a lifelong experience, right? We have to redefine what's possible. People have achieved remarkable feats later in life. Age can bring wisdom and experience that younger counterparts don't have. Now, I'm not speaking or downplaying the young folks, and if you're younger, that you just can't use age as an excuse. Age as an excuse when you're younger is I'm not old enough. I am not experienced enough. Again, it's an excuse. Let's really break it down and understand why do you feel like that is an excuse for you. It's what other people's opinions may be, what you've heard online, or maybe you learned in school. None of those are barriers. The only barriers exist in your mind. Okay? So focus on passion, not age. Let your enthusiasm and dedication drive you, regardless of when you start. So let's look at some action steps that we can take in this to kind of counteract this specific excuse. Set realistic goals. Adapt your strategies to fit your current stage in life, right? If you're working all the time and you only have an hour a week, that's an hour a week that if you spend is an investment in your future. You will constantly gain experience and move forward. Leverage your experience, regardless of whatever that experience is. Use the knowledge and skills that you've acquired over the years to your advantage. You have gotten to where you are by using your skill sets. You've been successful at some things. How can you take what you've been successful at and teach others that how they can do it? Or maybe that would be starting a class. Or how can you use your knowledge of the internet and how to do research and how to do things? Leverage your skill set, but also look for other ways to leverage other people's experiences. Right? There are other people that you may have. Just start asking for advice from your folks in your church. They're going to be leaders in your church, leaders in business, leaders in social things, anything like that. Look for where you can associate with those people who you want to emulate. Here's one thing I will suggest to you is if that person that you're asking advice of does not have the life you want to lead, quit asking them for advice. They're not going to get you to where you want to be. Look at their life. Is that what you want? If it's not what you want, they're not the right person to give you that advice. You might can still learn from them, but they're not the person to emulate your life after, okay? Remember, Colonel Sanders founded KFC at 65 years old. 65 years old. Grandma Moses began her painting career in her late 70s. So it's never too late. And again, quit using age as an excuse, regardless of whatever age you are. All right, number 6. And we could go on and talk about all different types of excuses, but these are the top 6. It's too hard. Okay. In today's environment, that is an excuse that's used a lot more than it was as I was growing up. When I was growing up, if you ever used that it was hard, that means that they would make you do it twice as much so that you got over the fact that it was too hard. Labeling a goal as too hard is often a mask for fear or lack of confidence. You have to challenge yourself to adjust that mindset. Difficult doesn't mean impossible. Hard work and perseverance often lead to the most rewarding outcomes. It's that level of resistance. This is the same way people build muscles, right? It's only at the point of resistance and stretching and tearing and then the recovery, that's when the muscles grow. The same thing happens with us. Until we push ourselves, until we stretch, until we become uncomfortable, it's only at that point of resistance that we grow. Okay? So let's break it down. Divide the complex goals into smaller, manageable tasks and start at step 1 and focus on it and only do that until you accomplish the first one. Then move to step 2, then to step 3, then to step 4. We really have to develop this growth mindset. Embrace challenges as opportunities to learn and grow. Persist despite obstacles. I have a poster in my office that talks about persistence. That's one of the things that it continually reminds me that those that win continue to persist. When you quit, if you've ever seen the cartoon of the guy that's digging for gold and he at the top of the thing, he's digging for gold and he gives up when he's this far from the gold. This far. That's where I'm talking about. Persistence. If you continue on, you will succeed. Don't ever give up. Remember that consistency beats intensity. Keep pushing forward even when progress feels slow or non-existent. You just keep pushing forward. The only place where success comes before work is the dictionary. I love that quote by Vidal Sassoon. You know, successful people aren't without excuses. They've simply learned to overcome their excuses. Excuses might provide temporary comfort to us, but they ultimately hold us back from realizing our true potential. By identifying and addressing these common justifications, you empower yourself to take meaningful action toward your goals. So I want you to really reflect on these excuses that we've talked about. And maybe none or all of these excuses are some that you hear yourself using all the time. I really want you to think about which excuses really resonate with you. Acknowledging them, facing them, that's the first step to overcoming them. And then I want you to commit to change. Decide today to put aside excuses and take a bold step towards your ambitions. If you write them down, write down those excuses that you use, keep them in front of you, because the next time you hear yourself use it, you're going to catch yourself. Catch yourself and say, wait a minute, there's that excuse again. Why am I using that excuse now? What is it that I'm doing right now that is causing that resistance, that's making me come up with an excuse as to why I can't accomplish it? And then you're going to set that excuse aside, and then I want you to take the action step, one small action step, to overcome that excuse. Okay? So commit to change. Decide today to put it aside and know that you're going to step forward. So looking ahead, do you have limiting beliefs that influence the results you achieve in life? In our next lesson, we're going to really delve deeper into identifying these limiting beliefs and begin to remove their impact on your journey towards success. So, to solidify this lesson and these mindset and overcoming your excuses and addressing your limiting beliefs, when we can accomplish these two, we've laid the foundation that you are unstoppable. You are unstoppable because you have a mindset for success, and you've set reasonable goals, and you've defined what success looks like for you. And now you're overcoming any limiting beliefs that could hold you back now or in the future. So we're going to do some exercises here. Again, here's kind of what I want you to do following this. This is your homework, I guess you could say. Number one, list your excuses. Write them all down. Write the excuses you use to avoid taking action or setting bigger goals. Then number two, I want you to examine them. Reflect on how these excuses have limited you in the past. Consider the potential damage they could cause if you leave them unchecked, if you don't address them and you don't face them. Because if you don't face them, they're going to continue to come up. Number three, challenge their validity. Find evidence that disproves each and every excuse. For example, if you think you don't have time, identify those activities that you can reduce or eliminate that's going to give you the time that you need. Find counterexamples. Research stories of people who overcame the similar excuses of how did they achieve success? What steps did they take to overcome and achieve success from that excuse? And then number five, take immediate action. Choose one excuse to overcome today. Take a concrete step that moves you past this barrier and to close your goal and closer to your goal. So one excuse is, I don't have enough money to start my business. That action that you could take on that is begin to create a detailed business plan and exploring low-cost startup options like an online business or a service-based business model. How can I get started to accomplish the goal that I'm really trying to get to? Remember, the journey to success begins with a single step. Taken despite fears and excuses, you have the power to create the life you desire. So let's continue the journey together, breaking down these barriers, reaching new heights for success, and I'll see you in the next lesson.